Okay, so I was wondering if you could give me your reaction to Putin's announcement today of this super new missile. How significant do you think it is?
I was surprised by the time that Vladimir Putin spent on these and other new systems. And some of them are very new for all observers of the nuclear and non-nuclear arsenal of Russia. And in this context, I was very surprised that he decided to describe this missile, to show slides and pictures of this and other missiles, because it's never happened to him. Normally, his address to the Council of Russian Federation is a very formal, sometimes very long and boring speech. Now he decided to make it interesting with pictures, and to be honest, these missiles he described in his speech, some of them will never become a real part of the Russian nuclear and conventional arsenals, because this technology are expensive. Russia didn't have a long debate about these systems. Nobody knows what to expect with our budget, with our capabilities, and with the situation inside Russia. Will Russia be capable to produce this system in a feasible future? Will it be possible for Russia to have a doctrine, a strategy for this missile? What is the role for this missile? There are a lot of questions because it's a very new system, never tested before, never tested.
But he spoke about a nuclear missile that was capable of not being detected by existing missile systems, and that it could strike anywhere in the world. He said that had been tested, I think, late 2017. Are you saying you don't believe him?
I think that the idea that this missile is tested, this idea needs to be checked with international law, because the partial test ban treaty doesn't allow to test nuclear weapons in air. So the idea is, if Russia really tested this missile, does it mean that Russia violated? Does it mean that Russia violated the partial test ban treaty, or does it mean that Russia doesn't want to use this system to deliver nuclear warheads? So, but today Putin said that this missile will deliver both conventional and nuclear warheads. It means that in this way, Putin demonstrated that Russia is some gray zone very close to the violation of the partial test ban treaty.
So we should be skeptical, should we?
Yes, I would be skeptical. It could be something like a ground test without actual flight. Yes, with starting engines of this missile, but without actual flight. It could be possible. In this way, it's possible without actual flight.
And what do you know about this missile that he was describing, this nuclear-powered missile that would evade existing systems?
I have no idea. I don't know anything about this missile, and I believe that many people in Russia, an expert community in Russia, they have no idea about this missile. What we know only that in the Soviet times there was a program to create a nuclear-powered airplane, strategic airplane. So. But the idea was, it was decided that it's too expensive and too dangerous, and there is no reason to use nuclear engines for this machine. So maybe this is the same technology that just picked up by Russian engineers and converted in a missile with the nuclear propulsion.
Okay. Despite your skepticism, do you think it's going to spark a new arms race with the US?
No, I don't think so. In general, I'm very skeptical about the Russian capabilities and the US intention to have arms race, to have the same speed and scale of development of nuclear arsenals. It's not possible anymore. We have joint obligations under the START Treaty signed in 2010 in Prague. So what is possible in this way? Only something like asymmetric responses to new threats. For instance, what Putin mentioned today about how Russia could respond to missile defense was also the possibility to create and to test and to use to test unmanned naval system to deliver both nuclear and non-nuclear warheads. It's also possible, and it also could be a asymmetric response from the Russian side for developments of nuclear arsenals in the United States and missile defense of the United States and NATO around the world.
Okay, so you're skeptical as well about it sort of sparking a new arms race. What about the impact on Eastern Europe?
I believe that for the Eastern Europe, these systems mentioned by Vladimir Putin are not the most important thing for the security in the Eastern European region. I believe for the Eastern European countries, what is more important is what Russia has in the area of conventional weapons, in the area of, by the way, Iskander missiles without nuclear warhead, with conventional weapons. It's also about precision systems, high precision systems of Russia tested and demonstrated clearly in Syria. And what is also very important for the Eastern Europe and also for in general for Europe is that Russia and United States, they need to have arms control. They need to have a dialogue. But if they have contradicting developments of different systems like Putin demonstrated today, it would lead to very dangerous relations between United States and Russia. And of course, it could cause confrontations, crises in the bilateral relations. And of course, it will be very important factor, security factor for European countries.
I suppose regardless of the truth of what Putin said today, Trump is, by lots of people's judgment, volatile. You don't think there's going to be a reaction from the US side?
My understanding is, of course, President Trump is free to react in his Twitter to anything in the world. So it's very hard to predict would he react or wouldn't he react to this speech. But in general, I believe that specialists in the United States, they clearly understand the Russian capabilities and the Russian plans. With some differences from the reality on the ground in Russia, because they have limits in understanding our capability. But in general, they understand what Russia has and what Russia wants to have. From this point of view, I would say they would be more cautious about the systems that Putin demonstrated today, but maybe they would be more attentive to his statement about that Russia still sees the United States as a partner, and Russia still believes in the idea that we have the same problems in the world, and we need to have the same commitments under the START Treaty and other bilateral and multilateral treaties in the world. So this is a very strong and important message from Putin today.
Okay. And just finally, given its timing, just before presidential elections later this month, how much do you think today's announcement was playing to the domestic audience and how much to the international?
I believe that the most part of his speech was used to deliver a message to the domestic audience as a part of the presidential campaign. And a very small part of this speech was about the foreign audience. But that is why I have a question about this speech. How big agenda from this speech will be relevant after the presidential elections? Nobody knows about that, and so we can only predict. I would be more skeptical, maybe some people would be positive, but it's very interesting because even if we look at this speech as a speech of a presidential candidate, it's very interesting that he decided to use military stuff as a significant part of his presidential speech. So it means that maybe after the presidential elections, the military domain will be very important for the next term of Vladimir Putin as the Russian president. It's not a good news for Russia, for Russian people, because economic, social, and other domains may be neglected by his administration during the next presidential term.
So, do you think that he's maybe trying to consolidate his power and ensure that he's elected?
I have no doubts that he uses this military agenda to consolidate political support. And in general, I have no doubt that it will help him to be re-elected. Maybe it will not be the most significant factor of his re-election, but of course it will help him.
And it's for this reason that we should be skeptical of what he said today. Is that what you're saying?
I wouldn't say that we need to be skeptical. I would say that we need to be cautious and very accurate about how relevant this statement is and how connected to the facts on the ground this speech is.
Okay, Peter, thank you very much for your time.
You are very welcome. It's my pleasure.